Blessings, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Spotlight with That B. We are at episode 12, and I have been waiting, I believe it's like a month, to finally be able to speak about my experience for a long awaited event for me, and that is Breezy Bowl here in Miami. And I also did the Breezy Bowl after party at Live that headliner threw in South Beach. So those that know me know that I am full on Team Breezy Anadawa. Um, I love his music. I love his brand. I love his dancing. I love his fashion sense. Um Again, I love his brand. So I had been waiting, it seems like years, for the perfect opportunity to finally go see Chris Brown live. Man, when I say I'm going to get emotional at some point in this spotlight, because when I say it was not just highly anticipated, but it was everything I could imagine or would want it to be. Um, and I do not say that often about a lot of artists. I'm lucky because I can say this. The last spotlight I did, the event was phenomenal as well, which was the Keith Sweat birthday bash. So I honestly was thinking, I know it's breezy, but I just saw an event where not one of the artists was bad at all. I didn't have one negative thing to say about the event, um, as far as the artists and the performances and the actual show. Um, I'm going to be honest. This is also the case with Breezy Bowl. So I've seen online everyone, giving their perspectives and sharing their experiences as far as when they have gone to Breezy Bowl. I believe Miami in the US was the first city. Shout out to Chris Brown for doing that. I thought it was extremely dope. It happened to land on the last day of the month of my birthday. So I also used that as a way to celebrate myself for my 51st birthday. And I'm the type of person that I pretty much celebrate from my birthday to the end of the month, which I know is not that uncommon. So I do that too. Um, so it was perfect. In regards to the date, I was able to take time off for work. It fell along the lines of where I had been enough time from when I purchased the ticket, which by the way, I did do it with the pre-sale, the artist pre-sale. I had signed up for it, so I got the alert and that worked out perfect. I feel as if um, the queue was enormous, which I expected, as far as to purchase the ticket during the pre-sale. So I did the best I could with the time limit that you're given, and then I get anxiety and I get stressed, and I'm like, ah. But the price point for where I was not bad. Now the venue, it was the first time I had ever been to that Miami. I'm not sure even where I was. I'm going to be honest with you, but I know it's where they play baseball in Miami, and it's a new venue. It's the first time I had ever been there. I didn't know what to expect in regards to parking. I didn't know what to expect in regards to the area or the traffic I was gonna get on my way there. But I had checked, and it was actually, I don't even think it was half an hour from my house. So everything seemed like it was falling in line on the day of the event. Um, Parking, from what I've spoken to other people that have gone, um, their experience and then mine. I kept seeing signs for garage parking. So basically, the garage parking was $50 to park in the garage. I didn't really see any street parking. I didn't see any lots. Excuse me. I didn't see any lots that where I could park that might have even been of a lesser cost, unless they were going to be really far from the event. Now, again, the area, I'm not even familiar with that area of Miami. It is near the airport, or it was near the airport. In 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 retrospect, I've been to that area before, but not that specific location. And it was like to someone's house, so it's not even like it wasn't even a place where I would have to locate parking, because the parking wherever I had gone in that area, I remember it was like a house party or something to that effect. So parking or having to pay for parking was never something that really had to cross my mind. However, I should have already known because of how Miami is, especially when it's parking near events. Um, and I did make the decision to park where I parked, which I actually did so right next to the ballpark. So I literally had to walk from the parking lot, maybe like a block, to the actual building where the show was being had. And since I did arrive by myself, I was there by myself. I wanted to make sure that I did whatever was going to keep my car and myself the safest. So, and it really wasn't a bad area, but in Miami, you just never know. To be honest with you, and that's a tip for everyone. Safety should be your number one priority always, and I say this all the time in these spotlights. That night was no different. So, and I had also brought change of clothes and like a little carry-on bag where I had all the stuff that I was going to need for when I changed from my outfit for the Breezy Bowl to my outfit for the after party. Because this I knew, it has been extremely unseasonably hot, and I keep saying this in these lives and in my lives on IG, in Miami, and I knew I was going to need to freshen up and change, because most likely I was not going to be able to drive all the way back home like I had anticipated, um, or like I had planned to do before I realized time wise it wasn't going to happen. Um, so I thought, let me get a little bag together, keep it in the car, wherever I'm going to park. I need to make sure that it's an area that's safe, because I don't want someone to break into my car to get my bag. So I had everything planned out. It was extremely hot as expected. And I'm glad that I did that. And I didn't have the time to be able to do everything and go back home, take a shower, and then head back out and drive all the way to the beach, um, to make the after party by the time that I had to get there, because the ticket had a particular time. So with all this in mind, I had my little plan going. I feel like it went pretty well. So parking, $50, but it was literally right next to the venue. Um, I walked there. There was a line, and they were checking bags as I expected. However, the line went super quick, so I didn't even have any problems with that. Now, did I go early? From what I have seen with others, yes, I went early enough because I wanted to make sure I could find my parking, and I wanted to make sure that I caught all their performances. So I didn't just want to see Chris Brown. I also wanted to see the opening acts, which was Summer Walker and Bryson Tiller. So, and I'm glad I did, because they were both phenomenal. Um, so once I did get there, and I hadn't eaten anything. So I was short on time, and I had taken off that particular day and the following day from work. I took a mini vacation, as I call them. And I'm glad I did that too. That was also a wise decision. I recommend, if you're going to do Breezy Bowl, definitely take the day of the show off, and if you can, the following day. And if you are doing like myself, the event and the after party, definitely take the day off after. The day of and the day after, sorry, the day after off. Um because I was extremely tired by the time I left the after party. So I get there. I'm able to make the line to get. I always like to get a beer and then something quick to eat if I have the time to do so. There was not a big line. There was a little line to get, the drinks and the food or whatever, but people were still arriving. Now I know the way Miami traffic is, so I suspect, because I left at the time that I did, that's why I was able to do all this. I know that it seemed like a lot of people were showing up at around a time where a lot of these people had to work, and they arrived um, at the time they did because they had been working. And Miami traffic at 5 p.m. to like 7 p.m. is horrendous, especially if you are taking the turnpike or if you're taking the expressway, which most people would have to. I did to have to get there because of the location of where the ballpark is. The way that it's set up, you pretty much are forced to have to take the turnpike or the expressway. So I knew this, and this is why I planned everything the way that I did. Now, some people don't have that luxury, or maybe they didn't have the time off, or maybe something happened on the way, or who knows. But I knew that I could not be late for Breezy Bowl. So, and it worked out for me. I found my seats. I saw my seats were, for me, they were perfect. I did want something where it was, because I had seen, and I suggest everybody do this. I have seen different, again, reviews from others from Team Breezy in regards to their seats. Look at the map when you're going to get your tickets that they offer you, so you can see your seats. And there is ways that you can online do searches, or actual ticket vendors that they offer you the opportunity to see the view from your seat. Now, this is why I say this. I know that I wasn't going to wear my glasses as I'm at the show, or even at the event, and I wear glasses to be able to see from when it's too far or when it's too close. So I already knew this, and I knew that I wanted to have limited, a view of a obstructed view. So I already also knew that he had different things from watching everything that I watch online. Um, and wishing that I was there. So I knew that he had like those big statues that are supposed to be Chris Brown or whatever. The ones that then online they showed that they melted. I think it was in Tampa. So I knew about those. I knew that he has different structures set up from when he's flying around, and I already anticipated all that. So because of that, I picked the seats that I picked to make sure that I didn't have a lot of people in front of me. I did hear people online discuss how they had gotten the floor seats, and my exact worry was exactly what happened to them, which was that at the end of the day, the way the seating is, when you're in floor seats, it's really hard to see if you're of a particular height. And by that, I mean short, like myself. So I'm glad I didn't do that. So my view, I feel, was really good. And I already knew that I was going to get content. And if anything, I could use my camera to enlarge the image or, or get the close-ups. Now, excuse me, on in the particular venue, the only complaint I might have is that it was really hot still. You could feel the AC, but I guess since it is a ballpark, even though they had the awning or the top over the ballpark, it was still something where you could tell I it might have had certain areas where it was open, and because of that, the AC you could feel it, but you didn't feel it enough. It was still super 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 hot. Um, so once you add everybody arriving to the show, that just makes it all the worse. So I'm only mentioning that because I want people to take that into consideration, especially if you're sensitive to high temperatures, because I don't want nobody fainting or, I recommend you do the show and stay hydrated, for sure. So I have my clips, which I'm going to send to RG, the engineer, so he could set everything up. And by the time everyone watches this, you will see. First clip you're going to see, I believe, is going to be the Summer Walker clip. Now, I spoke to somebody that has seen her live, and they also told me that they were told that that someone or that they might not have enjoyed so much her performances. I can only give my perspective on what I saw, and I enjoyed it. I thought she was really good. I was actually impressed with, again, both her and Bryson Tiller. I think I must have gotten nervous because I didn't get. I thought I did, and maybe I didn't. If I did, then RG can put the clip here because I could swear I got a lot of footage of Bryson, because when I tell you that I wasn't expecting his performances to be that well, but this man's voice, I was very impressed. Um I know that there was a moment where I think he got emotional and he actually left the stage and then came back and apologized and told everybody, "Oh, I just needed a quick moment or whatever." In light with everything that's come out on the news in regards to him and him expressing how he doesn't really like being an artist and whatnot, it made sense because his performance was amazing. I hope he does consider staying as an artist because I think he has phenomenal talent. Um, but it explains why his particular show um, it wasn't as animated, I would say, as Summer, and of course as Chris Brown. Now, I also want to mention, I also want to mention, I'm trying to get comfortable. I also want to mention that even though he's not an artist, I did start following because I was very impressed with, I guess you could say he was kind of like an opening act, and a little bit during act, but it is DJ. Wait, no, it's his handle on IG, and I want to make sure I say his handle correctly so people can follow him just like I did. So it's I am DJ Fresh. DJ Fresh, I thought was amazing. I think he's perfect for that event. Um, so I know he's not like the artist or a artist like Bryson or like Summer, but I think he is super, super important to that show too. I was super impressed. People that know, They know that I have a nickname, and that's the DJ Whisperer, because I know so many DJs and because I support so many DJs. Um, I had not heard of him, but from, I would say, maybe the first 10 to 15 minutes that he was out, communicating and interacting with the crowd, one of the things he said is, "Oh, I'm gonna, everybody follow me now on IG," which I thought was an amazing idea. And I did. And they were like, "Follow me now on IG. This is my handle. Send me a question, and I'm gonna pick one and I'm gonna read it while we're here at the show." So that is how I started following him. And he can sing, he was dancing, he was definitely full of charisma, and he was definitely keeping everyone in the audience interacting with him, when Chris was not on stage. And when he, when they were, I guess, changing up either the dancers or between, when Bryson came out and Summer. So, but I wanted to make sure that I mentioned him, because he also was very impressive, or impressive. So, Bryson, phenomenal talent. I hope he stays right where he is, and I hope he reconsiders not wanting to be an artist or not being an artist. Because yes, again, phenomenal talent. Summer, I thought she did really well. I was also impressed with her performance. I was able to get a clip, as I mentioned. Let me point this way. No, wait, this way. I was able to get a clip of her. Once I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember if it was Summer first or if it was, Bryson. But I started to realize that, I believe Fresh, real quick, mentioned that, okay, like Breezy's gonna come out now or whatever. But I don't think I really realized the impact of seeing an artist that I support so much, and I feel like I love almost all his music. I am always in awe with his dancing. So again, it was really anticipated. So I started to get nervous. And then they do this thing which I was able to get, and this is one of the clips that you will see, is the countdown before they put this little movie on where it's Chris talking about, the reason why he's doing the show, and and his experiences through life, and it was like a little movie. So I did get a clip of that. And then you see the pyro stuff, like the fireworks and stuff, and all of a sudden, poof, you see him come out. I believe y'all are going to hear me at some point losing my mind. Because at my big old age of 51, I could not control myself. And I was like, yes. Um, I'm going to have a few clips that you will see where I just can't stop smiling. My heart was so full of joy. Um, you will hear in the clips how everybody that was around me was singing, and they were up dancing. I think it's one of the shows, just like the Keith Sweat show that I spotlighted from last week. It's one of these shows where you can't stay still, especially if you're a fan of the artist. Um, I did have to at times look at the teleprompter that they had, or not the teleprompter, the prompter, or the big screen that they have, to be able to see. But because there was some points where it was too far for me to see him, as far as with the lighting that they had, because it was too dark. I was able to see him when they had him on those cords where they got him like, um kind of like the zip line cords or whatever, but they got him flying around. It actually reminds me of, when I was younger. One of my very first concerts that I went to was a rock concert, and it was Bon Jovi. And I remember that's one of the things that he did. And I loved it then, and I really loved it when Chris Brown was doing it. So I think I tried to get a clip of that. I was singing so many of the songs. I was enjoying so much of the event. It was like everyone else is saying, it felt like hours and hours and hours, and I was enjoying everything, but I kept thinking, "Oh my god." The stamina on Breezy is amazing because it's been hours and he is still going. And then it seemed like it was like a remix of like all of his songs. So he would do each song for, I would say, maybe 2 to 3 minutes. Um, and then switch it up. And I think I might have seen him take one break, and then everything else seemed like it might have been like a wardrobe change, because that's how quick it was. So I wouldn't even consider those breaks. Those were wardrobe changes. um, the visuals I think are amazing. um, my main goal was not just to see one of my favorite artists, um, but my main goal was to really feel like I was celebrating once again my life. Um, People that know me know that I've had different struggles, especially a lot of losses within the last 5 to 6 years. I've lost a lot of people from my family. I lost my dog. Um, just a lot of things. And I wanted to do something where I knew I was going to have this, again, sense of happiness and joy while I was there. And I wanted it to be something that would stand out for me, because with all the things going on in this world right now, you just never know when you will be able to experience something like that. And let me tell you, he did not disappoint. Again, you will see the different clips of all the content that I was able to get, all the content that, and I say was able to get because my battery started dying. I had a battery pack, but even that was acting up because it again was just so hot. The internet, even though I signed in that you do have the availability to log into the internet for the ballpark, it wasn't really working that great. But the entire time I was thinking, I'm just trying to get clips here and there for people. But because for me, my main concern is to just be happy and to be full of joy and just, as I like to say, live my life and live it at its fullest. And at that event, I definitely did. Um, Again, I don't have a thing negative to say. Um, I know some people, maybe it depends for them, um, their taste in music, on whether or not or why they maybe did not enjoy certain performances that they've seen in the past. But I can say, for me, for Betty, Spotlight with that B, Bryson, you did phenomenal. Summer, you did phenomenal. DJ Fresh, man, I still follow you. I think you're doing great. Continue doing what you're doing. Um, I think that lineup is perfect. Whoever decided to do that lineup, I think they knew what they were doing. Um, I don't get impressed easily, and I was just impressed. Chris Brown, sir, I see why they say that you are one of the only people, if not the only person, that they can compare to Michael Jackson. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The performer. If I could do it, somebody asked me, would you do it again? Yes, I would get better seats. Not on the floor, but I would definitely get better seats. Um, when I left, I wanted it to still, even though I had been there for hours, I was actually a little sad because I wanted to still see more. And when I want to make sure I say this, and I know this is really about Breezy Bowl, but the reason I keep referring also back to my last episode and the event with Keith Sweat's birthday bash is because not all artists that I have seen are at this level. And I want to use the word excellence. And it really again makes me very, very happy, and I say again because I say this often. It makes me happy and it makes me proud to support R&B artists. And I support hip hop artists, classic hip hop artists. I support different types of artists, not just R&B. But at times I have been to shows where I can't really give this type of review. But knowing that I support Chris Brown as much as I do, I want to be able to support what it is he's putting out there as far as, his brand and his shows and his craft. Um, as well as Keith Sweat and the lineup he had. Um, Again, excellence is the word that comes to mind. And I'm just proud that there are still artists out there that are showing people, nah, man, R&B is not going anywhere. These classic artists, as people call them, and and newer artists or current artists like Chris Brown, Bryson, and Summer, there is a room and there is a space definitely for them. And I think as long as your quality, that's what's going to stand out to the consumer, to the fan, to the person that's supporting you, to the person that's part of your community, and that's making sure that they're keeping an eye out on you and your brand. Um, One can only wish that every artist you see and every event that you go to ends up being something like Breezy Bowl and the Keith Sweat's birthday bash event. I wanted to make sure that I said that. So once the show ends, as I'm saying, I was wishing it was longer still, even though it was really long and I was exhausted. But I also knew, okay, um, there is Team Breezy was in full effect. Like there was so many people there that I didn't expect anything less, but it was a little bit overwhelming, especially now when I have to leave once again, kind of like what happened to me in the other show. Now I have to leave and I got to go back to my car. That took, and mind you, I still have to drive, I still have to change, freshen up, change, and then drive to the beach, which was going to be at least another half an hour. Now I still got to get to my car. I still again have to change, have to leave, get through all that traffic of leaving the event. So plan ahead and make sure that if you have something like I was doing, an after party or another event that you're doing after that, that you're making sure you plan ahead and you keep in mind that it's going to be a lot of people and a lot of traffic. So leaving to just get to my car, it took just to get out of the building. And And I think some of the escalators had broken. I mean, it was a little crazy. But to get my car and then to just get out of the area in the city to be able to get back on the turnpike to then head over to the after party, all that took like a good hour. And then I keep looking at the time like, oh my god, and I'm supposed to, I think I had to be at Live by 1 a.m. And the show ended at 11 or after 11. um but it seemed like by the time I got to my car and everything, I only had an hour or 45 minutes to be able to make the line on time by the time my ticket was saying. And my whole thing is um for the headliner after party, uh it's not a free event. Go in the headliner page and take a look at what the headliner tickets are for the after parties. I didn't want to miss that time because, nah, I needed to make sure that I got my money's worth. So um, I get to the parking where it's, thank God I had already gone to Live. You know, God knows what he's doing and God works in mysterious ways. But thank God I had already done my event at Live for Breezy's birthday bash, because now I knew where to park, which I parked down the street. Now that parking was $25, and it's a flat fee, and you either park there or you don't. In that particular area of the beach, you're probably not going to find anything cheaper. I think your only other option is probably to valet. I'm not sure how much valet is, but I do not valet. Um, so, with that said, I park, I rush myself over to the line. I follow Headliner. Shout out to Mike Gardner one more time, and shout out to Headliner, because he was posting on his page. He was giving updates of if you're gonna, the line. There was a line when I got there. So he was saying, if you're gonna get here, you better hurry up and get here. So I hurried up, made my little line. I was able to get inside. By this time, I was exhausted. I was lucky enough to where I got there early enough where I was able to change and freshen up, but inside my car. Now I have these visors, and I have for the sun in my car, so I use those to block the windows, and I have an older pair in my back seat. So I had already planned ahead, and I knew if I'm gonna have to change in the car, I'm gonna bring these old visors because I could put them up on my windows, and like that, I have more privacy. Thank God the parking lot where I did all this was not crazy packed or anything. There was people there, but with the visors I had up, they weren't able to see anything. But I did have to freshen. I brought things to freshen up, and it was so hot, and I was so sweaty. I had to like redo my hairstyle, like a whole bunch of things. Shout out to I wanted to shout out the brand of the spray that I used to make sure that my makeup stayed. Urban Decay. Shout out to Urban Decay and their finishing spray, because man, did my makeup hold. Thank God for that. So I did a quick look. I wanted to make sure that I wore something brown, because I know that they had been saying on the internet, to show support for Chris, to wear either Team Breezy gear or to wear brown. So I had bought a brown dress. I was all browned out. Um, got in the line after I freshened up, did my hair, got ready, all that. And I rushed to the line, was able to get in. It was extremely crowded as expected. So, of course, it was super hot in the event. There is AC, but again, there's a lot of people. Once again, stay hydrated. This is for everyone. Guard your drinks. Stay safe at these events. It is a lot of people. A lot of these people I noticed were not even from Miami by conversations that I overheard. And from what I could see, you could see that they're not your typical Miami crowd. Um, when I arrived, there was already a lot of people there. As I was there, a lot more people were arriving. Um, by the time by the time I arrived, I think it was close to 1, if not already 1 o'clock. I ended up staying, I want to say 2 hours. And by, or maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Because by the time it was the 2 hours is when I finally said, I can't wait anymore. I did get to see all of Chris Brown's dancers. I was at different areas. I was able to grab some content from the after party. I couldn't figure out who the DJ was of the after party the majority of the time that I was there, but I believe it was DJ Fresh. I've tried to get confirmation from different people on that, but I haven't been able to. But I really do believe that he was the DJ. I did enjoy the music. I think I only have one complaint, and that is that there was a particular bouncer at Live. Again, this has nothing to do with headliner, and it doesn't have anything to do with anyone affiliated with Team Breezy or Chris Brown himself. So, and that would be one of the security guards that was guarding one of the VIP areas was just, and it wasn't just with myself, but it seemed like, I don't know, he must have been having a really, really bad night. And he was just being too pushy. And what I ended up doing is I ended up leaving that particular area and I just started moving around the club and not dancing, but standing in different locations. There wasn't really a lot of room like the last time to dance, because there was so many people there. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because if you are expecting something different, you will be disappointed. Um, but so far, this is the second time I'm at Live, and I mentioned it before. That's not really my crowd, but for Chris Brown, it's my crowd. Team Breezy is my crowd, but it's just he brings such an enormous amount of people that if you are expecting space to cut up the floor and start doing all your crazy dances to impress Team Breezy, it is not going to happen, y'all. There is no space. It is extremely crowded. It was extremely hot. You're gonna have to make lines to get to the bar. I at this particular at Live, what I usually do is I get water anyways. Um, it isn't inexpensive, but that's what I'm gonna get anyways. And I needed to cool off because it was so hot. Again, I waited like about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Uh, I know that they kept saying, Chris Brown is on his way, but here's what I also knew. I knew that I had just attended Breezy Bowl, and I also knew how many people had been talking about online about going to the event in Miami, and that they were going to do the meet and greets and that they were going to do all the pre things and the post things. Um, with that in mind, I knew he was not going to make it there right after or like at the time that I am going to make it to the event. So once again, you need to realize that if you're going to do the after party, he's not going to show up right after the event. Clearly, he's going to have things to do, and I'm sure he needs to change and he needs to get everybody that he's going with together and whatnot. So I end up leaving as more people from his entourage are arriving, but I still had to drive all the way home. I was already super tired from, Breezy Bowl itself and everything that I had to do in between and beforehand to get there, and then to the after party. So I made the decision to just not wait, which is not uncommon with me. And I believe it was about 2:30 that I was sitting in the lobby, just people watching. And I end up just, getting myself together and walking to the car and driving home. So again, I was able to get different content from Live to show people, what it looked like and how packed that it actually was. And I do think I was able to get a couple clips of DJ Fresh spinning. And again, I believe he was the DJ at this event. Um, I know that I did get a quick shot of that particular DJ and his laptop, and I'm sure that the name on there is DJ Fresh. But I guess we will see. Everybody's gonna find out because no, gosh, no, this way. When RG is gonna place the content here, we will all see who the DJ is because it'll say on his laptop. Um, it was good music that particular night, so I did enjoy whoever was spinning. Um, it was a good crowd. Besides that particular security guy and that VIP, it was pretty much the same type of crowd I saw for his birthday bash. Um, one of the things I do enjoy about Live is the lights, and the ambiance and the way that everything is decorated and everything looks. So it actually reminds me of the nightclub that they show in the 80s movie Scarface. When they're all in like a big nightclub, it's your typical Miami type of nightclub. So for those that have not been there, did I enjoy myself? Yes, I did. I wish I wouldn't have been as tired, but my main goal with both things was to support Chris Brown, to support his brand, to support Team Breezy. And of course, to do something that I have been looking forward to do for a really long time already. I've been a fan of his from when he first came out. I've always wanted to see him live, but I wanted to wait for the moment or the event that was something where it was going to be memorable. And this was definitely that. So, would I recommend others to do Breezy Bowl? Yes. If you are Team Breezy, you need to find a way to attend because you will never forget it. Would I do it again? Would I do another show, next year, or if he decides to do something different? Yes, I would. Um, I'm glad he's getting all the love he's getting. I've seen everybody online discussing their experiences and his stamina and how they're just in awe with everything, and most importantly, they're just proud. I am too. Um, there you go. I got emotional. Yeah. I'm super proud. With all the negative things that people try to throw at this man, I am glad that he is still out there putting on one of the best shows, if not the best show out right now. Um, he might have struggles, he might have issues coming at him every which way in his personal life. But at the end of the day, he is an excellent performer. Um, I definitely got my money's worth. I would recommend it to anybody that is a Breezy fan or anyone that is looking for a really good event to go to. Um, with that, I leave everyone. This has been my review, my spotlight on Breezy Bowl and the Breezy Bowl after party at Live in South Beach in Miami. Um, I got a different type of spotlight for y'all for the next spotlight. I I have spoken to someone that I want to be my next guest, and hopefully her schedule lines up with my schedule and we can make it happen for the next spotlight, which will happen to be episode 13. Can't believe I'm already on 13 episodes. um I wanted to make sure that before I go, I'm not going to tell y'all who the guest is yet. I'm going to wait for her to confirm. It will be in 2 weeks because, once again, my schedule now with the spotlight is every 2 weeks, so it's bi weekly. Um, I wanted to make sure that I mentioned thank you to all that are supporting Spotlight with That Beat. It means the world. I see the views. I see the love and the views that y'all are also giving the network that I am part of, which are like my extended family, and that's the United Front Network. I appreciate that to the fullest as well. I know that right now we're just getting everything started, but I plan to continue to bring you more guests and more spotlights on the events that stand out to me and that I think all of you need to know about, especially if you're about the culture. Everyone, I appreciate you all. Spread love, support what you love and who you love genuinely, and walk with integrity. I will catch you all in the next spotlight in 2 weeks. Peace.